Good afternoon. How are you doing? It's been a minute since I've been on. I hope you've been doing amazing. We are already at the end of the first month of 2024, and I am really excited about the value that I'm going to be serving you moving forward. For those of you who wish me, first of all, happy birthday. Thank you so much. It's been a minute since then, actually, since I've been on, and I really do appreciate all the warm wishes, all of the messages, all of the songs, the happy birthday songs, and I really do appreciate it. So I do want to dive into this live though. For those of you who are just coming on, hi. If you are new, my name is Tanika Francis. I am a self-concept, mindset, and law of assumption, manifestation coach that teaches the law of assumption principles. And I really do want you to achieve getting to your best your best year here in 2024 immediately. And so this is why I show up for you in the way that I do, so that I not only see results in my life, but I also see results that you have shared with me as well, as far as how you've been able to maneuver through your emotional self-regulation, whether you were in that stage, whether you are in the stage of increasing your awareness and your self-concept, and or materializing what it is that you already been materializing, and you do it because you love it and you know how to continue living that experience. So I teach coaches how to materialize desire instantly, but not just instantly one time. I'm in the realm of materializing my desires for myself on a consistent basis, but also providing you with the tools that will allow you to also materialize the thing that is sustainable and consistent and ever evolving, which is a part of your life experience, right? And of course, what you desire to be your life experience. So I do want to talk about something that I sort of just, I guess, sort of discovered, but it's not a new discovery, because I found out that the more I research this thing, it's more like some of the things that I've already been doing but have not been consciously aware of. So I do want to talk about non-dualism. And I do want to talk about how the law of assumption weaves into non-dualism, but it's more of a more extreme, I guess, understanding of the law of assumption. But really, what I've been teaching and what I've been also implementing in my daily practice on how I'm also going to be this being of emotional wealth and freedom. And so if this is what you want, I would say continue watching, because I feel like for those of you who are wanting, again, to navigate through this manifestation process, whether it be through even the law of attraction, but more so the law of assumption, and really want to anchor in your desire embodiment, I feel like this is definitely a video that you want to listen to, and perhaps it'll drop little snippets and maybe insights as to why you also want to start to incorporate a little bit of non-dualism into your practice, just so you understand exactly who and what you are from an energetic perspective, because I also like to talk about energy as well. And so let's talk about briefly what both things are. So let's talk about the law of assumption. The law of assumption is really your system of assumptions, which can be your system of beliefs that you adapt as true. So you have accepted as true, which then is your life experience. Whereas non-dualism for non-dualism, it's more like nothing is a process. It's more like a conscious awareness of just one, and you being everything and the all and all things. And it's more, to me, the one of the highest or higher forms of awareness and consciousness that then you can accept, to knowing that you are not in separation to your desire. So when I talk about there is no separation, there is no such thing as false beliefs. Of course, they're false beliefs, but there is no such thing as what's that word? it always slips my mind when I talk about it, but opposition, right? There's no such thing as separation, opposition. There's no such thing as your limitations. There's no such thing as challenges it really comes down to, and there's a reason why you do not want to perceive life as a life of challenges or a life of limitation or a life of opposition, is because you want to be more than what you currently are. Whenever you have a desire, of course, you're realizing that you are separate from it, but that's just how the conscious mind is processing this desire. But if you did shift into the version of self that is at least aware of non-dualism and what it's teaching you, you will have a better understanding of knowing that all is you, everything is you, and all is, I would say, the purest forms of energy, which is the purest forms of consciousness. And I do want to dive deeper into the, let's say, similarities that, or maybe not so much similarities, but like let's say the contrast between the law of assumption and non-dualism. So I did write down a few, and as you are listening in or just, tuning in just because you might be curious as to what I'm talking about in terms of the law of assumption and non-dualism, and by any means, I'm not saying that these are exactly the same things, because I know that some people think that non-dualism is completely separate from manifestation and completely separate from our understanding of like what human life is meant to be, right? So take this all with a grain of salt, but this is really just a theoretical perspective based on just my assumptions and my perspective and my experiences, and I'm simply just relaying it back to you in terms of like how you want to start to see yourself, especially if you are wanting to acquire emotional freedom and realizing that you are already free. But you cannot do that if you are still in the awareness of knowing that there is something separate outside of you, that your freedom is something outside of you, that your opposition is more real than the freedom itself. So this is where, you can start to solve your not your problems, but start to solve the root causes of why you believe more in the separation and why you are actually living more in the separation versus the desire and the freedom itself, and how you could reverse engineer your belief system to then understanding that you are already free, right? So going into the non-dualism, and so for non-dualism, it's teaching you that there is no process, right? There is no process because there's no such thing as time. There's no such thing as, I would say, linear progress, performance, like, and this is also what I teach as well, is that manifestation is not linear. It's not performative. It is a being state. So it's really just being, and non-dualism teaches that in a state of, or in a way of teaching you that you are consciousness and that you are everything, that you are one, right? And so when you understand that, you know that there is no separation essentially, and the awareness of your separation is because of the beliefs that you, or the assumptions that you hold onto self, so the limitations that you are putting onto yourself. And of course, this is a natural way of living, and I don't want you to say, well, if I am someone who is creating this opposition or this limitation, am I doing it wrong, or am I just so deep in my self harm and like my sabotage? Take a step back, because consciously, like, this is the way that your conscious mind is wired to be able to even live in this 3D, in this reality. So you do have to approach this perspective from a mindset of, okay, well, automatically my conscious mind is going to think of the next logical step. It's going to think linear. It's going to think process. It's going to think so on and so forth, because it is wanting to process the things that it again, consciously cannot understand, right? So you're not going to experience, again, like what I mentioned before, you're shifting. Like, you're not going to see your shifts. You're going to feel your shifts. And so when you start to compartmentalize what your conscious mind can do, and maybe understand more what your conscious mind is going to do and the purpose of that, and then again what the purpose of your subconscious mind is, you could better understand again where you are in the spectrum of materializing the thing that you know that you are not separate from anyway, right? So non-dualism, there's no process. With the law of assumption, Neville Goddard teachings, there is a process, right? He talks about, manifesting or materializing overnight. He talks about, 48 hours. He talks about 3 days, right? So you want to start to understand why that is, right? And it's because, again, we have a conscious mind. If we had our mind separated, I don't think we would be, it's not that I don't think, I know we would not be alive as humans. We would not be known as humans, right? And this is the more extraordinary portion, I think, in my opinion, of why humans are just really we're really I feel like we're superhuman because we have these two minds. And the better and better we get at again being aware of what the minds actually do, and how we perceive life through our minds, and the way that we can process again step by step how we can start to materialize the thing that we want. It's going just materializing in general is going to be so much easier, because we are able then to tap into the parts of our minds and the parts of our brains that will open up the heaven gates of freedom and wealth and abundance and prosperity and divine union and harmony, and just all of those things that are encumbersome of what you would define as unconditional love, unity, harmony, all of that stuff, right? So I do want to talk about dimensions as well. So not in non-dualism, there's no such thing as dimensions. We're just consciousness. So there's no such thing, because if you are resonating more with 3D versus the 4D, or vice versa, then you are in a state of separation, right? Because there's no, if you're just everything, if you're everything, you would not label 3D as 3D and 4D as 4D. And that makes a lot of sense, yes, but not to the conscious mind, right? And so this is why when you are researching certain things about the law of assumption and the conscious mind, or the law of assumption and non-dualism, you can only understand at the extent of your current belief system, right? And I do want to talk about consciousnesses and stuff like that. And this is why I'm going to be having a masterclass for those of you who are just watching. I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but I am going to be hosting a law of assumption and non-dualism free masterclass. So if you are interested in joining that, you do not want to miss it, especially if you are into the law of assumption in general. I'm not going to get too deep into non-dualism. Again, this is a way that you can process your emotions and really get anchored in your emotional self-regulation, your emotional wealth, your emotional freedom, so that you can start to stabilize your nervous system in allowing experiences to come toward you, and to do that with minimal effort. Because of course, if you know me, I don't want to work hard for my manifestation. You're not meant to work hard for your manifestation either. And so when you come to your levels of awareness, your levels of conscious awareness, you're going to understand more, and you're going to experience more of who you are through, again, the understanding of relaxing your subconscious mind, relaxing your nervous system, relaxing your emotional body, and then allowing those experiences to unfold before you as this life experience, right? And so if you're interested, definitely send me a DM. I would love to have you. And I'm going to be hosting this masterclass. I just want to make sure I get the date correct. For those of you who are interested in joining, it'll be on the 10th of February at 10 a.m. So I will be doing more content, or just more posts about you joining if you are interested. So I will be doing more of that. And I do have another point that I want to mention. So I did pick up on, so no dimensions, because you are already everything, you are already one. And with the law of assumption, and the difference with this is, again, level of awareness is that you understand that you are going through states, right? You're going through shifts and states, and you might be in a space right now where you're going through a shift and you're not sure exactly how to hold your place in these states, right? And so what you want to do is get back to emotional self-regulation and really anchor in your groundedness, because at times when you are going through a lot of, again, shifting and feeling states and different stages of awareness, you feel like you cannot ground yourself and I had this issue as well. And so you really do want to start to sort of incorporate a lot more meditations, more guiding, not guiding, but more guided meditations, yes, but more grounding meditations, more anchoring in to like this, like actual physical world, like this planet, this natural, Mother Earth planet, and sinking into that so that you are not like just, in the ethers a lot. And I tend to be that way as well. So I completely, if you are this, like, I completely know exactly what you're going through. So also want to talk about another thing that non-dualism teaches is that it does not teach reflections, right? Whereas the law of assumption teaches reflections, life is a mirror, and you want to get to, again, a level of awareness to knowing that, of course, life is a mirror, and there's nothing to change but self, and everyone is you pushed out, and all of these, ideas that can bring you essentially closer to your desire embodiment. But really what you want to start to understand is that, again, there's nothing separate from you, right? In order to experience a reflection, you are then separate from something. So you are not separate from this thing that is your reflection, but because we are, again, in this physical form, we do have to have anchors or little like pivotable, let's say, checkpoints of knowledge, so that we could sort of like move ourselves from where we, like who we are, to, again, materializing on a consistent, sustainable basis to what it is we actually want to experience in 3D reality. So if this sounds metaphysical, if this sounds woo-woo, if this sounds, well, maybe this video is not meant for you. And of course, I could have put this disclaimer at the beginning of the video, but I assume that if you are following me or, are engaging in my posts on a consistent basis, that that I was probably going to get to this place where I'm also into, just teaching in a more fluid manner. And for those of you who are, again, interested in knowing this information, here it is, right? And so, and definitely do not miss out on the free masterclass, because this is going to dive deeper into how you can achieve emotional wealth, freedom, financial wealth, generational wealth. I know a lot of people talk about generational wealth. To me, it's just wealth building in general. And of course, when you are shifting yourself, your self-concept, you're already shifting your DNA along with your identity. So self-concept is very much identity. And as you are shifting through the levels of awareness, you are also shifting your own DNA. So whatever, let's say, generation comes before you, even the generations that come after you, you're already like I would say, I want to say transforming, but for lack of a better word, like I want to say transmuting, but for lack of a better word, you are already transforming the DNA of, not just with that the DNA that you hold in your body, but not just that, the DNA that you're also holding for the next generation to come, right? So this does get deep. This does get very metaphysical. But for those of you who are here ready to listen and have actually picked up what I dropped, this is definitely a message for you, right? So I love that I have been able to really deliver this to you, and let me know if you are interested in learning more in the comments or in the DMs. I am so excited to be able to teach this on a more, let's say, spiritual, emotional, I want to say esoteric level, because a lot of us do believe in what we experience outside of our, of our like outside of our senses, and this will do really well with materializing any desire, because of course if you realize that you are just one and everything in all things, you can start to experience life and self differently, and then move yourself through the realms of, okay, well, I'm starting here, I know that I'm everything, and I'm going to continue to move within this desire as the desire. So it's obviously going to show up for me instantly, because I get to shift here and I get to stay here, right? And it's just wherever your awareness lies is where you get to experience life. And so once you know that you are already doing this, and this was another thing, is that I knew that I was already doing this. I was not consciously aware of what I was doing until I stumbled upon this a few days ago, and I was like, obviously, like, of course I get to share this, because, you know, it's something that I've already been doing and have seen results, not in just my life, but just, you know, my client's life. And I know that this is working, because when you are going through your shifts, again, there's nothing to change but self. And so when you know that you are more accepting of your desire and receiving it and accepting it, and knowing that you are one consciousness, it is just so much easier to achieve everything else that you know that you already have, because you would not have that desire if it wasn't meant for you, if you were not living it already, right? And so on that note, I hope this was easily palatable, and I look forward to, again, hosting this masterclass on the law of assumption and non-dualism, and how we can sort of weave in certain concepts to understand that really, if you didn't want to have a manifestation process, you don't have to have a manifestation process. In my particular program, there was a process, because I realized that there are a lot of you who are, you know, watching or who are interested in materializing desire instantly, have these hiccups, which are the self-limitations, right? That the ones that are creating the separation and the opposition, and it's just muddying up your overall manifestation process. But what the process actually is again, stages of awareness, right? Stages of awareness within consciousness, and then accepting the reality that you know is yours. So this is so juicy, and I could talk about this forever. So again, for those of you who are interested in joining, my DMs are open. My comment section is open. I will leave the link to my services in the comment section below. Of course, if you are viewing via YouTube, all of my services will be in the description box below. And thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on the next live. Cheers.